This is the Spotlight segment. Stay tuned for premium interviews, device unboxing and more.
We now move on to the Spotlight segment, and in our Spotlight, we're talking about GAAD, G-A-A-D, Google Accessibility Awareness Day, and that's what we're talking about. Google came out this week, just like every major company there, on the 18th of this month. That was Thursday, and we saw a lot of things relating to accessibility, basically what Android has or what Google has, because Google and Android are synonymous with each other, aren't they? So we're looking at Google Accessibility Awareness Day, and there are 5 things that Google came out talking about. The first one that really excites me has to do with Lookout and AI coming to Lookout, and the whole idea is that when it recognizes an image, I could actually interact with it and asking it questions. That's called the IQA, image question and answer. For example, if it's a dog, an image of a dog, I could ask, whether using my voice or using the keyboard, what does the dog look like? Or is the dog happy? That kind of thing. And it'll give me the answers based on the AI that generates what or recognizes that dog as an image. So what do you guys think about this? I think it's going to be a major world changer in a sense, and I can't wait for that to be basically merged into TalkBack. I'm excited about it. What do you guys think about this one?
I mean, I'm definitely all for it, because when I use Lookout to already use the image description or get the text kind of stuff out of things, if there's a picture in the middle of my text, I'd love to know what that image is. And I think having the IQA moving into Lookout is actually going to make real life documents and basically real life content even more accessible to us. I know when I was in university, I got a ton of printouts from my professors that had graphics in the middle of the pages within my text, and I never had a clue what those were. I'm thinking now that maybe IQA is moving into Lookout, we may actually have access to know what that is. So it's going to make more content more accessible to us with visual impairments.
I totally agree with you, because if you just take a picture of it like what we do, whether you use a document mode or use text mode and be able to interact with that, I think that would be absolutely beautiful. But I think in this case, one could just take like a document shot and be able to interact with those papers, as you talked about, Cam. You know, you're in school and you have a handout and it has some images on there. You want to know what those images are. And so I'm glad to see that coming on. And the thing that is rather interesting is that RNIB, the Royal National Institute for the Blind there in London, is working with Google with this, or Google is doing it through them, or rather, I don't know how to put it, but the first few people that are going to be testing this will be getting invites from RNIB. So I'm hoping that maybe Fee and Ed could get in here, with RNIB, and, be able to test those things out and help us tell them what is working and what is not working. Fee, are you going to get that?
I'll have to see. Things are a bit madly busy right now, but yes, I'll have to look into it and see. I mean, I don't know whether it's going to be just people who work for RNIB or who get invited or what. But yeah, it would be very interesting. Yes, it sounds great as long as they make sure it's actually accurate, I think is what I would say.
In other words, I can hear your skepticism about, this AI, especially Chat GPT. And to be honest with you, I'm not all in on. I have never used this service myself, but yeah, it does make sense, and this is why it's going to be out in beta for people to test. And so those of you that are able to test it can tell them what is not working, and then they'll kind of fine tune that. So it's good that they're not rolling it out, but rolling it out to a few, so that this few can test and let them know. So I see that, what RNIB would be like a pilot area where they could send those invitations to people to test it. And so that's nice. I'm looking forward to this type of thing, because it's going to be a huge improvement to what we have on Lookout and the different capabilities that it has. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, the only thing
this is-
is, though, beta testers wouldn't necessarily know that what you're being told is wrong. If I'm here living on my own testing it and I'm reading an image, I could think it's doing a brilliant job because I don't know what the actual image is. Do you see what I mean? So I don't know how they'll sort of quality control that, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm very interested in it, definitely.
Yeah, but I think what happens is that if you take a picture of a pillow, for example, Fee, and
Yep.
it tells you that I see a boat, in the water, that is
Yeah.
not, and then you can
Yeah.
tell them, you know what I mean? So,
But what if your pillow is a boat, and what if you have a water bed?
What if
That's
it
actually
says?
wrong.
What if it says it's Warren's desk full of stuff he's forgotten about for years and years and years?
Well, then I'm
and
concerned.
it will be right on. That will be right
Yeah.
on.
I'd be
my
concerned
goodness.
why you're taking that if you're taking a picture of a pillow and not the result. I'd be concerned.
I would.
Well, maybe I have a little pillow on my desk. You never can tell.
What when you
never know what you can find on that desk.
Well, I know. I was just gonna say, and maybe it's handy, like if you've just, you're tired, you've done lots today, and you just have a little nap for a few minutes on the pillow.
Yeah, but don't tell me it's a boat on water. So that's what
No.
I'm talking about. So, I mean, people can find, and because I've seen things that, those object recognition apps, and it'll call something an airplane or whatever, and it's not an airplane. So these are the type of things that people could report that, hey, I actually took a picture of whatever and it called it this. And you can send them the picture and they will see what it is and help us, shape it out. So I think it's a good thing to have people test it. The next item, though, even though it's not about us, but a lot of times we're so selfish, we think about ourselves. And I'm thinking about those of us that are blind, that sometimes we forget about other people with disabilities. I mean, this article, the GAAD thing, says that there are like over 1 billion of people with disabilities out there. So it's not just us, there are all kinds of disabilities out there. And this one has to do with Google Maps. And those in wheelchair would know if a place is accessible or not. Google has rolled this out, I think, back in 2020, but it used to be that you have to opt in order to be able to see that. But now, whether you are in a wheelchair or not, if you're looking at a place and you click the about of that place, you can see if it has wheelchair accessibility or not. So that's a good thing that is out there, and people don't have to go digging for it to find it. I like that idea better than what it was.
That's really good because, for example, I'm not a wheelchair user, but I've got friends who are. So, if I was meeting them, I wouldn't want to say, oh, let's meet at such and such a restaurant and then get there and find there's a load of steps at the front or something, or the local underground station isn't wheelchair accessible, things like that. So that's a really good idea. And I mean, even you might only need wheelchair accessibility for a short time. Like I broke a bone in my foot in 2020, and so for a short while, I was on crutches mostly. But if I went out for a longer walk with my parents, we did get a wheelchair from a local charity shop, and it was just a lot easier to not do, because doing stairs on crutches is a bit dangerous as well.
Oh, it is hell. How dangerous.
Yes. So so I think it's good that everyone can view that stuff now, because I might have just wanted to view it and then I might want to say, okay, I don't need that anymore. I think that's good that it's more widely available and you don't have to sort of opt into it. That's really good.
And the next one, talking about, other people with disabilities, this one has to do with live captioning something, or live transcribe, that is closely related to that. Of course, those of us that can hear, or we got good hearing, we usually take things for granted. For example, someone calls you on the phone, we just have a voice conversation and things like that. Now, if you call someone who's hard of hearing, or someone who's deaf, now it's going to be hard for them to be able to, speak back to you, or whatever the case may be. But now, though, let's say someone is not able to speak, but they can hear, for example, uh, they can type their responses, and it would be read back to you during that call, as if you're having a live conversation. And so I think this is something good that Google is doing, and any other company that does this is doing something good for such people with those disabilities. And it's good to know that we're taking things seriously when it comes to people with disabilities, because I mean, guys, this is something that could happen to any of us, right? Some of us were not born blind, some of us were, some people were not born deaf, but things happen. And so if we could think of these things as things that could happen to any of us at any given time, I think we would be more serious about what we do about accessibility. But most oftentimes we take those things for granted.
So will there be a delay if this service is used? Because if we tell someone, "How are you?" and that person types the response, say, "I'm fine," and till the response is read to you, will there be a delay?
Well, I don't think that. It depends on how fast the person types. And so if I call someone that I know they have such disabilities, I'm going to give them time to be able to type back their response and have it read back to me. So it's just whether you know that that person has such a disability or not. And if you call them, and if it's someone that you are not aware that they have such a disability, they could let you know that, hey, I am using such and such, so give me time. And, there are a lot of times that maybe I, call a support for something, and I have to tell them, hey, I'm blind, so give me a little bit of time, because I'm trying to read back your response, especially when I'm doing those live chat and whatever. So I got to read your response and then be able to go type my response. So I don't see this thing being a problem at all. It depends on who you're chatting with.
Will it type out what the person on the phone is saying, so that if someone's deaf, they can read that on the screen? Or is it just for speaking the person's words?
So here's what live transcribe is like. Any audio that comes through to your phone,
Yeah.
comes out as text. So if I'm talking to someone who's deaf, anything that I say is being shown as text
On their
on his
screen.
or her screen. Yes.
Yeah.
And
That's,
then
they
they
can
could type their own, and theirs would be read to me with the TTS engine. And so we're having a conversation. And now this is available right now if you have a Pixel 6 or 7 series. And it's going to be coming to the likes of Pixel 4 and 5, and also others. Also some European languages are also supported. I think maybe Italiano, Spanish, maybe French. I don't remember, but a few of the European languages are supported. But like I said, right now you can access that on your Pixel 6 and 7, and later on is coming to the Pixel 4 and 5.
I don't think they should restrict that kind of service to Pixels. That doesn't seem very fair.
It's also going to be coming to some select Samsung phones, to use their word. Some select Samsung phones. And that tells me mainly it's going to be like some of the top tier
The
Samsung
expensive
phones,
ones,
like
yeah.
the S series or the F series, like, the fan edition series, and maybe some of the high end A series, your A54s,
they want your money. They
A53s,
want
and
your
all
money.
of that.
Apple go, oh, well, here are these accessibility features, but you have to spend silly money on your phone. Although
So
I
I
don't think the
actually just went on and looked, and Samsung phones already have TTY voice and TTY hearing, or the combination, so TTY full. So they already have these features. So I'm wondering if this is now just going to be a bit better of an integration, opposed
Maybe.
to a whole
Well,
new
it is
suite.
a better thing. It's different because, like, live transcribe is something that works on your phone, and so the phone has to have good computational capability of doing that. And I think that's why it's only a few select Samsung phones. But I can see a lot of the A series phones,
Yeah.
most especially the new ones, will have it. And so I think it's going to be a good thing for everyone. Most especially if we have friends that are hard of hearing. I do have some of those friends, some of my students, some have graduated, and we still communicate, but only on text and things like that. It'll be nice to have a conversation once in a while.
It could actually be
So
good if
actually,
you were deafblind as well, if it works well with Braille display.
Yeah, well, definitely it will show the text in your Braille if you have your Braille paired to it, because it generates the text on your phone. So
Yeah.
that works. I'm going to try it with one of my ex-students and see what happens. I don't think he has a Pixel, though.
so to answer Fee's first question, Google is not limiting this service. Any manufacturer can enable it, but their phone should only meet the system requirements that are set for live captioning to work.
Oh, okay.
Now, the other thing has to do with tabs, how they work with TalkBack on Chrome, and that's getting a bump. You can actually see that working on Google Chrome and TalkBack.
So it'll be presented better, is that?
Yeah,
To us,
exactly.
yeah.
The presentation is going to be a whole lot better than what we've been used to.
Oh, good.
The next item that I'm excited about is the Wear OS. And you guys, you all know that the TTS on our watches is not kosher, trying to be nice here. But Google says this year they're going to change that, and it's going to be faster and it's going to be better. So I'm looking forward to that. And that tells me, maybe when Pixel Watch 2 comes out, we may be having that. And I'm thinking maybe Samsung is also going to have that in their upcoming Watch 6. Cam, you have a Samsung Watch, don't you?
Yes, I do.
So do I.
Yeah, you actually, both of you have the Samsung watches. I think Austin has one too. Or Austin, didn't you get?
No, I have the Pixel Watch.
Yeah, I thought you had the Watch 4 from Samsung. Didn't you get one?
I had the Watch 4, but then I gave it to my dad. So
Okay.
then I got a Pixel Watch as a birthday gift from my brother and sister-in-law.
I see. So I hope that this improvement comes to our existing Pixel and Samsung watches, whether you have Samsung Watch 4, 5 series or whatever, that this would be rolled out to you, because the whole thing is going to be part of the Wear OS 4, so, and I'm sure that these watches will qualify to upgrade to Wear OS 4.
I'm not sure, because the app I go into to do stuff with my watch is a Samsung app, so that might be a different thing.
So our watches are running the Wear OS, but so I can't see why they wouldn't receive Wear OS 4. I know our managers are, like, our watch manager is a Samsung specific,
Yeah.
but I do believe that we will receive Wear OS 4. I'm actually thinking any of us with 5s, we most likely will receive Wear OS 4 and possibly Wear OS 5 if that's a thing. I have not noticed or read anything that indicates our watch hardware is really getting a mega boost. So I would expect Wear OS 4 to come to all current devices.
Yeah, I think the voice on my watch now is much better than the one I had on my watch that I had got in think it was 2018 or something. But it's still slightly strange. I think it's I think on the Galaxy watches it's a Samsung voice, isn't it?
Yes, and they're notably horrible.
I think the one on the watch I've got now is still loads better than the one a few years ago, which was in the days of voice assistant rather than talkback, and that voice was kind of strange, and so it has improved. But if it's going to improve some more, that would be great.
Yeah, and this is why Google works together with Samsung. And of course, I see the Watch 4 getting it too, because Samsung actually has, I think, maybe like a 3 or so years of OS support for their watches. So definitely those watches are going to be getting the Wear OS 4. And if they are bringing theirs out before Google, I'm almost positive that the Watch 6 will have it. And then they'll roll it out to the Watch 5 as well. So I think we're all going to benefit from this, whether you have a Samsung watch or you have a Pixel watch. I hope that other watch manufacturers like the Fossil guys and the Mopvoy guys get the same treatment, so that we'll have a same playing field.